welcome to Bitstorm, a comedy game design podcast by two guys who know nothing about comedy nor game design. I'm Trevor Scott, and with me, as always, is Ben Slinger.
Hello, and welcome back.
Welcome back. Yes, welcome back.
Thanks. Is that Richie Menno? Something like that?
No, it was Max Walker.
I don't know. I knew it was from one of those, what was that, 13th Man or something? 12th Man? I don't know, cricket. Anyway, welcome back. This show is not about cricket, thank fuck. But what we are going to do this week is another episode of Click Pitch Garage. Do we have a theme song, Trevor?
No.
I'll just enter it in here. Just slot the theme song right in here, Trevor, that I'll have you produce since you're editing it this week. And
yeah, that didn't happen. So sorry about that, listeners. This is Trevor after the fact. I didn't get time to record a new bit of audio, so back to the show.
Just slide in a little bit of yourself saying you didn't do it there, Trev, if you didn't get to it. Okay. So Click Pitch Garage. This is a bit of a twist on our usual Click Pitch. So we will still have a random word generator in front of us. On 3, 2, 1 click, we will get a new adjective and a noun each. But we will also be restricting ourselves to including a particular game mechanic. Last week we did the grappling hook, had a lot of fun, had some really interesting different ways to use a grappling hook in a game. Mm-hmm. And what are we doing this week, Trevor?
We're doing your suggestion that you had last week, because we did my suggestion last week, so we thought we'd do your suggestion this week, which is tech trees.
Yeah, so the classic kind of tech tree found in many, many games.
It's that sort of tech tree. I thought you were going for a technological tree, just as like a.
I mean, I guess at a pinch, if we can't think of a way to put in an actual technology
it's a metal tree.
Then we can do that. But no, unlocking new technologies, new mechanics, new things, generally through purchasing them in some way, I guess. But we can play around with how they're actually gained, throughout the course of the game. So
cool. I'm interested to see how all these narrative games are going to incorporate tech trees. So 3, 2, 1, click.
We shall see. Intact crack.
Shed stress.
An intact crack.
I think.
Well, I feel like someone's just got a busted shed.
Yeah, they're putting a shed up and the foundation's cracked, and it's just causing them a lot of stress.
Mm.
So I think the more stress that you're under, the more points that you get to a tech tree that you can. So it's stress points.
Okay, well, hang on. Let's see if.
I mean, immediately that just makes sense. Like, you have to be spending the points, otherwise you stress out and you crack under pressure.
So what are the technologies then, do you think, that are helping you here? Are these technologies that are helping you build or fix this shed, or are they technologies that are helping you
deal with the stress?
I
think they're both. I think you can go down either route. I mean,
the point of the tech tree often is it has many branches. You usually, you unlock one branch at a time, but you can choose which branch to sort of pursue. So, okay, so you've got your tool technologies. You've got your stress relief technologies.
Yes.
Any other things?
Well, the crazy thing is,
like a social,
if you do go down the stress relief side of things, you get more karma, but your stress points take longer to build up, so that you can't necessarily build up your character, but you're at less risk of cracking. Do we have multiple currencies? Is this more of a balance in a sort of light side, dark side points sort of thing, where you've got your stress points and you've got your calm points? Your calm points you can put into tools, but if you get too stressed, you break your tools and you go backwards in the tech tree.
You go backwards in the tree. Okay. Yeah, so it's less of like unlocking the ability to have that tool, and it is actually like that tool is you gain the tools one after the other.
I mean, it's obviously on a tree because it's all about building up your tool arsenal to level out all this shed and
so what are the actual, okay, yeah, that's fine. I think this needs to be a relatively like complex shed. Like it's,
I think
got shelves and doors.
Well, I'm thinking that it's not just a singular shed. This is his work. He is a landscape gardener and, you know, sheds is how we got into this stress thing and all that sort of stuff, but it's like
he's a shedman.
But he also does like other landscapey sort of stuff. So
yeah,
at first you're only got the tools to do very basic landscape gardening, like here's where the garden is, here's where the grass is, here's where the shed is. And every single one includes a shed, and the shed is probably the most intricate part, because if the shed isn't perfect, then the backyard's not done. No,
well, it's his piece de resistance of every garden, so it has to be perfect. It's his calling card, is the sheds.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So okay. So you're unlocking. So your stress points give you. You use your stress points to unlock tools.
Ways to come down. Yeah. Stress points for stress release. So that's different techniques that you can use internally, as well as, you know, potentially
like
a stress ball,
having a thermos of, you know, hot soup, or having a stress ball, sure, or just taking a break.
Yeah.
Better planning of your day. And then if you calm down enough, you get the points for better tools to actually do your work.
I think the points for better tool comes in the fact that you did a good job and you got paid. If you ruin their backyard by cracking,
okay, so you've sort of got two different tech trees here in a way. You've got ways to keep yourself calm because you have an anger problem and things get stressful when building sheds and landscaping gardens. And then as you do jobs, you can buy new tools, which then might help you do better jobs and be less stressed. Although maybe some of those tools cause stress, even though they can do the job better. Or yes, they breaking down definitely. Yep. That definitely causes stress. Okay. So does the quality of the job come purely from sort of your stress level at the time, maybe? Like, or it's just harder to do good quality work while stressed?
I think it's one of those things of, you know, everything is like a different mini game, right?
Mm-hmm.
And as you're doing that mini game, like if you're super stressed, it's bouncing around everywhere like absolutely crazy, and you can do good jobs, but you've got to be clicking right in the middle of that sort of thing. Whereas if it's super calm and super controlled.
Yeah, you've got like larger target areas and slower. Yeah.
But the problem is, the more relaxed you are, the longer you take on these things. And the more stressed that you are, the more quick you try to get it done. So it's about trying to keep that, you know, you've been given a quote as to how long this thing's going to take. And the further you get through the week and you haven't finished everything, you know, the more stressed that you get. And, you know, so it's like each job is going to cause some stress.
That's an interesting balance, because I feel like you can quote up off the bat and you've got some control over that quote. And if you put a hard deadline on yourself, that's actually going to make the job harder, because now there's just an underlying level of stress. There's like a minimum stress level from a job with a hard deadline, that's coming up. But of course you can fit in more jobs if you do them faster.
Mm-hmm.
So there's definitely a balance there. I like that balance. It's a fun little twist on these like house flipper or like building games or whatever, but adding that extra element of the actual kind of, stressful environment of being a contractor, basically.
Pretty much. And I think that's needed. Like in a game like,
I mean, I find those games tedious. I like the idea of them in a way, because sometimes, like making the mundane or the day-to-day fun is challenging. And I do find them just relatively tedious, but adding something like that in, adds a bit of extra challenge and a bit of story to it. Then, like, I feel like you see the responses from the clients, you know, based on how well you've done. Maybe you get some clients that'll, you know, come out and bring you a glass of nice cool lemonade at a key moment and bring your stress down enough to finish the job well, as like a random event kind of thing.
Yeah. Or there's another one where the dog comes flying through, ruins the garden bed while you're not there, and then you get in the next morning and your stress levels are right up because it now doesn't look great.
Have to redo
the work, and it's raining. And the weather comes in, and now that adds extra stress because you told them that it would be finished this week. Rain, hail, or shine.
That's good as well, because then that plugs into the quote, during the quoting period of the session, you have the weather forecast, and so you're having to take that into account. Do you risk the 70% chance of rain, or do you leave an extra day for that so that you can get it done if you have a really stressful day where everything fucks up? That's cool. I think that I think that'd be fun. I think that actually adds a really nice angle to that. Cool.
So there you go. We got a slightly narrative game, but very, very heavy on the mechanics.
Well, and look, if you really want to throw some narrative in there can be a whole mystery story going on with the whole thing. Or a romance or something like.
Oh, I like mystery. Mystery is great. What's going on in the town.
Then because when you get a particular client and you start digging up their garden, you're finding bodies. Trevor just got the best look on his face.
I'm just like,
that's exciting.
That's exciting.
And we're just going to leave it on that. We're going to leave the mystery up to you, listener. What could that game be with that sort of mystery involved? 3, 2, 1, click. Trade device.
Confined footnote.
Confined.
Confined. Confined. Footnote. FOOTNOTE. Yeah.
The way you said that made me think you'd added like an extra O or something in there, right?
No.
Yeah. Confined footnote and trade device. Okay. Is the footnote a warning on some sort of device, right? So like, how you might be able to be selling devices and you legally have to put warnings on them for different things, but you want to make that as small and as confined to a tiny spot as possible.
Yep. Warning causes zombification if consumed.
Yeah, something like that.
Yes. So that's really confined to like...
electric shock if humidity is above 63%.
Yeah, and I'm imagining that this is white packaging and it's light grey text.
Well, I think maybe this is where the tech tree comes into it, is like initially, like you get better ways of concealing and confining this warning label.
Are you concealing? I thought this was just something that your character had to deal with. Like,
I was thinking that you are manufacturing these objects in some way.
So everything has a negative connotation to it that you're producing, and you've got to find the best way to conceal that while still complying with the government regulations. It's always a papers please-ish sort of thing where you get a new thing that comes across your desk. Like you're either the designer of the packaging or something for this company, whatever, right? So you get a new item that comes across your desk. You're like, okay, I need to package this thing, and it's got this laundry list of, or it might just start as one, but like it gets more and more complicated. Like, okay, causes electric shocks, not to be used by, under 7-year-olds. Side effects may include diarrhea, blah, blah, blah. And we maybe have the regulations, like, again, in that papers, please-ish sort of way. It's like, well, okay, for diarrhea, it has to have this logo on it somehow. And so maybe you, like, make it part of the design of the thing to have I was just thinking of, like, the logo is literally on the front cover, but because it's actually part of the artwork, it's sort of like it fits in here. Like, oh, that's a bit weird. What's that sign in the background with a guy shitting everywhere? and then again, in that very papers, please way, like, as you find loopholes, they start closing them. So, the next time you get the diarrhea symbol that you have to put on there, it's one of the new regulations is like must be as in its own separate little box or whatever with, the warning there. And that's when you use like the off-white on white packaging or whatever. It's like, no, technically it's there. Look at it under UV light. You'll see it. But you make it as invisible as possible. And then obviously they're going to bring in contrast regulations or something. I don't know. That's the game. Yeah, I don't really have anything else.
3, 2, 1, click. Milk loader.
Magical stir.
Okay. All right. For this one, I think we do go a bit more narrative. I think this is sort of a fantasy magical land, or at least a fantasy land with magic involved. But you are a humble milk loader at the beginning, at least. And the tech tree comes in from, it's a magical tech tree in this case, as you are learning, new skills. So I don't know, what is the adventure path of this humble milk loader?
So when you say milk loader, are they loading the milk into the cows, or is this?
No, I think they're loading milk onto a cart, onto carts.
Because I'm just thinking, are they loading the udders? Like, is that something
they prep the udders? It's actually a long-winded way of just saying they feed the cows.
I'm actually starting to think, is this a magical milk elf? Right.
Okay.
And they start off as a lowly milk loader. They're the ones that actually, sort of pump the milk into the cows.
Okay. So this is sort of a world where biological processes in general are
controlled by elves.
Have magical beings that kind of control them.
Yeah.
So the elves put the milk into the udders of the cows. There's snot goblins. That will put snot into people who have colds. They deal with all mucus related activities.
There's the stomach elves that, break down the food and sort of move it along the conveyors into the intestines and that sort of stuff.
Yep. And then we don't talk about the poop trolls.
No one talks about the poop trolls.
No.
They're very important.
We all appreciate them, and they've got a really good union, so they are well compensated, but it's not polite to talk about them in company.
No.
Okay, so you're a milk loader, and yes. I guess then do you have aspirations of other careers?
Yeah, I think as part of your, the tech tree is something these are the skills that you actually have and you can apply for different jobs. To the magical elves union. And, but doing this, causes a bit of a stir.
Oh, I see.
So.
Okay. Yeah.
Because
you were, is it in a bit of a B movie way? You were born to be a milk loader and you have milk loading skills.
Your mum and dad were milk loaders.
Yep.
And they expected you to do the
to
same.
Follow in their footsteps.
I'm kind of wondering if in this world, this is totally meta, but whether, inside these magical elves, there's littler magical elves that, do all their things. And that's just blowing my mind right now. How do new elves come along and
well, that's the fuck fairies.
Everyone knows that.
Everyone knows that. When a little elf gets to about the age of 9, 10, maybe later if their parents are a bit conservative, then they sit down and have the fuck fairy talk.
Yeah.
Yes. I don't know at what point then there are beings that have actual biological processes that aren't controlled by smaller beings.
Yep. I think what actually happened in this world is the elves actually did something.
Okay.
And they broke the biological processes of the larger beings. And so
they've now been tasked to
actually
to carry them out.
To carry them out. And, there's only a couple of people at the very top who know this, that it is actually a big shame on the elves and on this group
the magical creatures in general.
That.
Well, is this a situation where the elves fucked something up, but now they've created this capitalistic society where they've recruited these other beings like the poop trolls and the snot goblins and different things. They had nothing to do with it originally, but they pay them to keep this up because otherwise the humans or the larger creatures are going to find out and, or all die or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And so part of the story of this then perhaps is, this starting to come to light, more people finding out about what the elves did.
But I think it sort of all stems from the fact that you being a milk loader, you don't want to be a milk loader anymore because
you're lactose intolerant.
Well, yeah, I kind of like the idea that
Milk makes you break out in rashes, in hives. Yeah.
And so it's one of those things that as you're working through with this, you know, you're fully decked out in, you know, nuclear radiation sort of stuff. And it's just because you're dealing with lactose on a daily basis. And
yeah,
as you're working, you start building up your skills in, you know, other ways that you can then spend the points on, you know, here's where my career aspirations sort of lie. And it's sort of more around, these are the skills that you need to be able to get this particular job.
So I think there is an aspect of grind to it in a way, where you get to try out all these different jobs and there is a tree, there's a path, and you can experiment with a few different ones. And I don't know if maybe you have to commit to a path at some point, or if narratively you are driven to a particular path. I think in this case, in a more narrative sense, having a full tech tree probably doesn't make a ton of sense. Like, it's more of a narrative tech tree in that way. But within the world, like, yes, there are these progressions through different branches of careers.
Which is really weird that there's, like, you've worked it out, but no one else has. Like, everyone else is just...
They just do what they're told, basically.
They just do what they're told. You know, the saliva sprites, they've never had aspirations of, you know, becoming a snot goblin. Like, even though
they have to work with them, like, so closely.
Yeah. And the thing is, they're all the same sort of creature. Like, these words that have been put on them, like, you know, the milk loaders, which are elves. Well, the poop trolls are actually just elves as well. It's just that, you know, they got called poop trolls because it's like, well,
right. It's more of an aesthetic name. Like, it's more about what rolls off the tongue.
Yeah, because snot goblins are literally just elves, but they deal with snot.
But snot elves doesn't sound as good, so.
No.
Yeah, okay, that's fine.
And saliva sprites, you know, that sounds good, but fuck fairies are actually fairies. They've got wings and shit. Like, it's magic. It's a magical
it's a magical process. It's a magical time between two people who want to fuck. Okay, so
always.
What do you think is this elves' end goal?
I think they just want to feel fulfilled in life.
Okay.
And that is not loading milk, which, you know, breaks them out in hives if they ever touch it.
So is it about them discovering the whole conspiracy, or is it more of a personal story?
I think it's a personal story, but there is the conspiracy stuff going on in the background that they unwittingly come across. And
is this them disrupting that conspiracy then and finding a way to fix things, or is it more just, realizing, this is our lot in life, like we have a responsibility here, but I can find a way to be happier by like finding my place.
Yeah, and I think it's one of these things of you kind of go on that personal growth journey and you realize that, hey, being a milk loader wasn't so bad. Everything has its downsides. Yeah. And I don't know, I think with some of the relationships and that sort of stuff.
Improve the working conditions for everyone.
Yeah.
Maybe all elves are lactose intolerant. Maybe this is the worst job an elf can have because elves are genetically predisposed to not tolerate milk.
Yeah.
And so, you know, you realize through the end of this that, okay, it has to be done because otherwise, like, the cows will all die because their calves won't have milk. Mm-hmm. But at least we can get better working conditions.
What I find funny about it being a cow is the fact that, you know, with there being so many different stomachs. So, you know, the people who are working on the...
are they different?
There's different levels of stomach elves. Like, you know, you've got the upper management who are up the top, and they're just like, you know,
passing it all down.
Just
to
pass
the
it
next
down.
Yeah, we'll deal with some of this. We'll deal with some of this stuff, but you know, pass the rest down to the lower stomachs.
Yeah, and as it goes, you know, through the 4 stomachs or whatever, it gradually gets broken down a little bit more, but it's almost like things are really kind of not working very well for this cow.
I just love the idea of all these elves going to work every day, and they've just got the place that they work, which is a being. Like, you know, this elf, we should give him a name, Dingus. Works in this one cow, like, and has for years, just loading milk. That's all he does. And, you know, every day Dingus comes out of his home and sees all the other elves heading off, and there's, you know, the other elves, the other milk loaders that work at the different cows in this one field, and he knows them all by name, and yeah, the pretentious upper management stomachs in his cow. Like, essentially each cow is its own company, you know?
Yeah. Can they leave the cow? And therefore, does this thing have like something bad that happens where, you know, our elf is actually out halfway through the game? He's, you know, out and about with his mates. He comes back and the cow's no longer there. So his workplace has disappeared. Because yes, I think they live elsewhere. I think the cow is their workplace, essentially, that they come to every day. I'm just imagining they walk out of their little, you know, apartment underground, and, you know, they walk over and I was like, okay, pull me up. And it's like, they've got all these rope pulleys sort of things.
And stuff to get up into the cows. Yeah. Yeah. All these,
there's like a door on the side of the udder that they can open up, and
Yeah. I think it's essentially like a building, like this big moving building. And because it's just all magical, like none of the large creatures that they're servicing actually know anything about it. But yeah, I want to hear, you know, a classic kind of off to work opening scene where, yeah, all these little holes in the ground. I'm picturing for some reason like little trapdoors in the ground, like trapdoor spiders. But just this field of trapdoors opens up, and all these elves come out and are heading off to work. And
okay.
Hey, Dingus. Yeah, morning, Gregorius.
Does it open on like you're in a laboratory sort of thing? You kind of got you know, your suit on, and, you know, you're dealing with like this white liquid that you're pouring into these receptacles and all this sort of stuff. And then the buzzer goes for the day, and you leave, and you walk out.
Oh, so it's more the opposite. Yeah, it's the end of the day that you see first. Yeah.
Just because I like the idea of it being like a typical workplace office sort of thing in there, or some sort of
or like a factory floor or something.
Factory floor / you know, it's sort of a sterilized area, and you know, you get out of there, and it's like the buzzer goes for the day, and it's like you open up the door, get onto the elevator, and it goes down, and you look behind you, and it's just this huge cow.
Yeah. You're just like, the elevator's descending down its back leg. I mean, if I'm being honest, this feels more like a DreamWorks movie than a video game, but you know, we tend to go down that path sometimes.
This has got, you know, you can do a lot with the tech trees in the fact that these are skills that you're learning, that accounting skills, and, you know, then you can actually work in the brain to actually
see, they don't even. So, are these large beings doing anything by themselves, or is this whole world literally just like these beings aren't even conscious that elves are just doing everything?
Well, maybe that's
the thing.
That's the thing. That's the thing for the sequel, that, you know, it turns out that the farmer, like, you think that this may just happen for cows, like they totally fucked up.
Oh no, it's humans as well. Yeah.
But then, as you know, you get halfway through the game, you've gone out, and the cow's no longer there. Like, basically, they've been taken out for food.
Yeah.
You know, end of life, and it's like, okay, now they're going to the slaughterhouse or whatever. And you hitch a ride on like a person, the farmer, or something like that. And you find out that, you know,
Sorry, I'm just picturing a scene where you put your milk loading skills to use and the farmer starts lactating. Like, it's almost a Ratatouille situation where, like, you meet the farmer and you're like helping him. I don't know.
I know there's something about, like, when you get inside the farmer and you're going through the factory floor, and it's like, what's this closed off area? And you break it open, and it's like, oh, this is the milk producing facility.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's not needed in this particular being, but
it's still there because,
it's still there.
You know,
we build them on a factory. You know, it's all standardized. Yeah, you break in and start using it. You just cut to an outside scene of this farmer being really confused, snapping wet spots.
Yeah, but it's like, are the elves actually controlling the brain patterns, and therefore it's like it's not actually confusing at all? Like, or they're confused in the control room?
Like you cut to the outside and see the farmer going like, oh. And then you cut to inside the brain, and they're like going, what the hell? Why is the milk production started? Like, who's down there? Who's on security?
That's so cool. Okay, 3, 2, 1, click.
Oh boy, that's ridiculous. Excess hazard.
Blanket climb. for some reason, I've got with hazard and climb cliffhanger.
Okay.
I'm thinking a game based around the movie. Well, not necessarily the movie cliffhanger, but the idea of climbing, but it being more around, what are the skills that you need for rescuing people on a mountain or something like that.
Okay. I was heading towards some sort of blanket fort situation, but I think I like yours better.
Okay.
I think I like, some sort of mountain rescue kind of deal.
And because I like the idea of, it's this huge mountain range, depending on the time of year, whether it's snow or whether it's actually, just the Rocky Mountain face and all that sort of stuff, depends on what sort of rescue stuff you actually need to have out there. And the tech trees are sort of more around, do you have the funds for, the helicopter, and therefore do you have the helicopter skills and that sort of stuff?
Yeah, well, I'm picturing this almost as a bit of a kind of a cross between
a management and an action adventure.
Open world. Yeah, well, I was thinking sort of an open world. Like, you've got this whole mountain, and you will just get radio calls coming in of people who need help or whatever, and so you can you've got your little base camp, and you are building that up over time where, eventually you make it all the way to having a helipad and that sort of thing. But initially you're just, I don't know, maybe you've got like a little, if it's a snow-covered mountain, maybe you've got like a little snowmobile sort of thing, or maybe you're literally just having to hike to them to save them. And then you've got your tools, which, you can also improve over time. But it's like, these mountain climbing tools, or like different ways to raise people up, or medical tools and that sort of thing.
Yeah. I kind of see this now as Mountain Watch, not Fire Watch, but Mountain Watch. And the idea being that you've got kind of like, as you were saying, base camp, that you get a call in saying that there's someone stuck on this pass over here. And you then need to answer that call, go over there, do that with whatever you've got at the moment. And as you work through it, as you get more, as you level up sort of thing, or as you get more experience, you can invest in certain things for your base camp. Like, at the moment, you've got the one base camp, but you can open it up to work from a number of different ones.
Yeah. So what I like about this, I think I like the Firewatch comparison, although I think I want to make it less strictly narrative.
Oh,
I think there's obviously
not.
is a narrative going on.
It's more you're going to get a call saying you need to go pick up this person, and that could be randomly generated. As to what's happening at this stage. The idea being that you're going through these multiple runs of saving these people, but you have to do different things to find these people. Like, there's certain...
And I think the fun comes from... Because I'm almost picturing it as a bit of a, like... Just Cause, or even a Far Cry kind of thing, where it's this sort of relatively open world, and you get these different things coming up, and so you can have a lot of different events and, like, combinatory gameplay things happening. But what I like about it is that it's not a shooter. Like, you're doing something a bit different, and the fun comes from the traversal, like just finding your way to get to this place on the mountain. It's like, oh, okay, well, I can't make it any further on my Jeep, so I'm going to have to, walk from here or climb a bit up here. And have I got the grappling hook yet? Or just to bring last week's one in, or have I got?
Well, have you unlocked the grappling hook from the tech tree?
That's what I mean. Like, from the tech tree. What have you unlocked from the tech tree to help you get to this person quicker? And I think the quicker you get there, obviously the more likely you are to save them. Depending on, it could just be, they got bitten by a snake, or they fell down a short way and sprained their ankle, or it could literally be they're trapped on the side of a cliff somewhere and this close to falling to their death.
I mean, you could go down the point of kind of like the start of Cliffhanger, where someone's taken a fall, hurt themselves, but they're up, the top of a mountain sort of thing. So you gotta come up with some sort of way of getting them off the mountain. Not necessarily have the whole thing with the equipment failing as you're trying to get them off and they fall, because that's kind of bad.
You have to have at least one mission, though, where that does happen. Or at least has the opportunity to happen.
I was happy to go with the mission of there was, some thieves that lost a briefcase full of diamonds on the mountain somewhere, and, you've got to try and not help them, but also, save yourself and your friends at the same time.
I don't know. Is that Cliffhanger? I don't remember that.
John Lithgow ends up on the mountain, and Oh,
maybe
it's
there's
a
like
fucking great
maybe there's
movie.
like a DB Cooper mission as well, where like this mysterious person parachutes onto the mountain.
That's if you find if you find the missing cave, like the secret cave,
right?
You actually find the skeleton of DB Cooper,
right? And a bunch of cash,
and a bunch of cash, and then it's one of those things of do you keep the cash or do you go for the fame and fortune that the finding DB Cooper's body and the missing cash, and they're then collecting any reward money and that sort of stuff.
You get like renown points or something,
Paragon
that
points,
you can spend in different ways. And there's an Xbox achievement for it as well. Or I don't know why I specified Xbox. Everything has achievements now.
Yes, everything has achievement. Even
this podcast, you listener just won an achievement for getting to episode 260. Well done. I think that's what we're on.
I don't know. I think so. Listener, you've just got an achievement for listening to a pointless conversation. 3, 2, 1, garage.
Vroom. Vintage, abandon.
Miscellaneous, static.
Ooh, okay. Vintage and static put me in the mind of like an old TV.
Yes. CRT,
black and white.
50s. Yeah, black and white.
So maybe something that brings me to horror, perhaps.
Yeah. There's something about like you not trusting the new technology. Like the moving pictures is just a little bit weird.
Even the moving pictures.
Well, so
this newfangled thing called television.
Yes, it's a newfangled thing called television, and I think this is in the early days of that.
Yeah.
And you're just not quite sure. Like, what was previously like an abandoned store all of a sudden springs up overnight into, showing.
Into like a TV
into
store.
Like a brand new TV store. And it's like, it's only after it opens that, you start hearing about the wonders of television and all this sort of stuff. It's like it was something that wasn't in the news until that shop opened, and then it was.
Oh, right. You'd literally never heard of this concept of television, and then all of a sudden it's there. And so you suspect that it's basically come into being.
Everyone
overnight.
else has just gone, I've got one of these newfangled televisions, so we can have the cinema at home. Because obviously they were moving pictures from the cinema and all that sort of stuff, but actually having it at home is,
But yeah, to you it's an abomination. Like there's no way they can fit a projector in there.
Yeah. And
are you a like film operator of some sort? Maybe you have a predisposed dislike of television because you are an expert in film projection.
Yeah, and it doesn't seem possible to project, that sort of quality onto what looks to be a very small screen when that when you project, it has to get larger. So therefore it had to start from an even smaller position. But the problem, the crazier thing is, where's the film?
Yeah, where's the film? Like how do they fit film rolls in there? How do they change them out?
How can you change the channel and you get a different lot of pictures? Like that just...
Yeah, and what is this weird technological tree coming out of the top of it? It's all metal and shiny.
Yes. It's...
And when I move it, the picture changes.
Yes, exactly. And it gets nowhere, and then it gets a little bit more staticky.
All right, I think this is a VR game.
Okay, yep.
Just because I feel like the tone we're going for works for that.
Oh, yeah.
And I like this being horror around, like this TV, or TVs in general. What is the horror that's going on? Are people's, like, is there something that's happening in this town where people who are watching TV, like, they get taken away by someone, like, because they've either lost their mind or they've been brainwashed or something like that, and then, all of a sudden you're not seeing these people around? I'm not sure what happens, but I just had a vision of someone coming to your door, opening their mouth, and just static comes out.
Oh, yes. That's just... Oh, my God.
And then you look closely and their eyes are just white noise.
Oh, their eyes are literally little screens with static.
Little static screens.
Until you move that tech tree just a little bit, and then all of a sudden the picture comes into view, and you see in their eyes just... the perfect representation of what's on the screen right now.
Yeah.
Oh, something about, the eyes all of a sudden not being expressive that just creeps me the fuck out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
So yeah, I think this is kind of a...
I do think that we can actually still go down a tech tree, like a legitimate tech tree of different skills that you can now do within this, and I think it comes in investigation skills.
Okay.
Like as you go down through this thing and you find out certain things, you get some skill points that you get to put into. Can you make identifying, static beings a lot quicker, or you can be a little bit more stealthier as you're investigating in someone's house. So
maybe
you can be sort of like sneaking
being a film operator, you figure out some of the technology, being an engineer essentially behind the TV, and you're building a little detection device that has an antenna on it. And the tech tree can be around the add-ons and the improvements you make to it as well.
Yes.
Okay. Well, this feels like it's moving more towards kind of a bit of a stealth action game as well.
Yeah, but I think that can work really well in VR, especially if you don't want to be talking to any of these, what's it called? Like
static people.
Creatures. Because we know that everyone who's got a VR headset has a lovely mic right there. If they make too much noise, then
does the player have to make white noise with their own mouth to blend in?
No, I think it's more around.
You just have the player having to go.
Because I'm just imagining the first time that someone gets into the game and they're sort of sneaking and is like their wife is talking in the background and go, "What was that, honey?" And all of a sudden the static people just look towards you. Like,
turn and all start.
It's like, oh shit.
Their eyes are white noise. Yeah.
Because there's just something about it. Like, that's where you really realize, oh shit, like, I can't turn off the microphone. The idea is that it's not going to record you. It's just going to listen out. And
yeah.
If it's too noisy, you're kind of fucked.
I like that aesthetic of the vintage TV static. There's a lot of cool horror stuff you can do with that.
Yes, very much so.
All right, 3, 2, 1, click.
Unlucky, yearly.
Suspect, deterrent.
I kind of feel that with unlucky, that brings in, that two-sided tech tree thing again, where you've got luck and unluck.
All right, hang on. Before you do that, though, because I just had an idea. Yearly, and the time of year we're in right now, made me think of Santa Claus.
Mm-hmm.
And Santa Claus could have a really cool tech tree. That's all I'm going to say if we wanted to get in that route. Like,
yeah, I do kind of like a Santa Claus tech tree.
Yeah, like a Santa Claus delivery kind of game where, each year you're getting better and better tech in a very like Arthur Christmassy kind of, end point.
Yes.
Hiring on elves to
and
giving them technology. And maybe the deterrent is around deterring children from spotting you. And
it's also about, because I like the idea going on from our previous game, which was a horror game, the Krampus is also yearly getting more and more technology. So it's this thing of, you may occasionally come across a time where you're coming into a house and you're trying to give a present to little Susie.
And the Krampus is already there.
That the Krampus is already there giving a present to little Jack. Because Jack has been a right little twat.
So I don't know the overall lore of Krampus.
I'm taking liberties here. Like, basically, normally people say, oh, you'll get a piece of coal from Santa. It's like, no, you'll get taken by Krampus if you are.
Right. Well, I kind of like the idea of Krampus being essentially your competition in a way.
Yeah, but the idea is that the reason why you don't hear about this too often is because usually Santa is able to fight Krampus off.
Mm-hmm.
But as you are getting more and more technology each year, like, Krampus realizes, I haven't got a child soul in many, many years. What can I do to make sure I actually get a child? So they start getting more and more technology and that sort of stuff. Now, my question is, which do we want to play?
I mean,
is this
given the choice?
Is this one of these games that, in order to experience the entire game, you play a chapter as each, and you continually go through
back and forth? Are your tech tree decisions then holding between chapters? So, like, if you play Santa and you upgrade your sleigh with super fast jets, then when you play Krampus, you're going to have less time before Santa gets there to steal a kid, or however that works out.
I kind of think that you are upgrading each one for yourself. Don't worry about what happens with the Santa that you're going up against next, because you're actually playing in the same year. So you effectively can play the different things off against each other. There's always a time when they sort of both end up against each other, and I think that's where the chapter sort of ends each time, and then you get to choose which
abilities or which upgrades,
which side you're actually on, and you're going to play for this time. So you don't always have to play Santa going up against Krampus. You can sometimes play Krampus going up against Santa, and that'll give you extra points to, maybe there's an ability that you really want for Krampus, like you really want that grappling hook so he can get up onto the roofs a lot quicker. Yeah, because at the moment you're having to climb the drain pipe every time. It takes forever. But if you could just get those extra couple of points, you know that next chapter for Krampus, you're going to be able to get up on top of that roof a little bit quicker. Yeah,
but then if you decide, I guess my thought was, if you decide to play Santa the chapter after, does the Krampus you're going up against get up onto roofs faster?
Yes, he can now get up on roofs faster, but it also means that next time you're in the chapter, you can also get up on the roofs faster.
Yes,
so it's one of those things of you can literally say for Santa, I don't want the children awake detector because it's more fun when I'm Krampus if I can wake some of the kids up and move them out so that Santa doesn't realize that the kids are awake and out of the house or something like that.
All right. Here's an alternative, because I like that in general of being able to play both. But I feel like having to choose good things for each of them, they end up just like, I want to do better as Krampus, so I'll choose, different stuff for Santa that will make me do better as Krampus. What if
we played Krampus the entire time I was on that same point?
No. You can play as either, but for that run, you play as the one character. But you're playing, it's an asynchronous multiplayer thing. So essentially, how would that work?
How about we don't do multiplayer? Because my main problem with multiplayer is if no one's playing it, the game's kind of gone.
Well, no. Okay. I kind of like this. What I was going for is it's asynchronous multiplayer in that you're going against a computer-controlled Krampus, but each year the choices that they make in the tech tree are based off another player's Krampus run.
Okay.
So then at least you could have an AI, like you could have one, you can still play the game if no one's playing because you just come up with one yourself. But there's the extra benefit of, you beat, Fred Winger 69's Krampus.
Yeah.
And when Fred Winger 69 logs back in, they'll see, your Krampus stole 3 children from these people's Santas, but was defeated by these people's Santas, and you might get points or achievements or something.
Yeah. So how many years is this over? Like, effectively the levels, I'm seeing it kind of like a roguelike random sort of distribution of people, and you can sort of go down different tech trees as you go, depending on what you find in each of these places.
Yeah, I think making it a bit more roguelike, so the tech tree might even change in different ways, or maybe just what tech trees, what branches are available to you might change based on how the run's going or something like that.
Basically, if you don't find like the right parts of technology, then your Santa can't get the automatic Krampus detector. Yeah. Because they don't have, the lump of coal from Krampus.
That Krampus left behind, yeah. Because the Krampus that they're playing against had, the improved sack of coal holding, which means that they never drop any coal.
Yeah.
I like that. And I think you're playing over a significant period of time, because I wonder if the technology of the houses and things changes as well, so that, early on you're setting it in like the 40s or 50s, and you play like 70 years of Santa. You essentially play this
is
Santa's
it just
life. You start as a young Santa.
But it's always about this one village, right?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. And so when you start, it's fairly small. You're only having to deliver to, 20 kids.
Mm-hmm.
But by the time you get to like 1997, now it's a sprawling suburban, area, and half the houses have security cameras and alarms. And so you've had to, you have to get around those in different ways. And obviously the different tech trees could help to do that.
Mm-hmm. So one of the things that I would like to see, and I think the reason why it's based around this village is it's basically always the last thing that Santa comes across. It's the last village on his journey, and it happens to coincide with Krampus's last village as well. Like,
right.
Everywhere else in the world, for some reason, there's certain places that Krampus won't go, or he happens to start in this village. So it's like at the start of his run and at the end of yours, and it's the only place that it actually crosses over. So Santa's always arming himself just for this one village because he's not about to...
That's where the showdown happens.
That's basically where the showdown happens each time. And it's all about, making sure that you choose the right house to go into first, because you've got to try and keep yourself away from Krampus early on in the run of each year, because he may be a little bit more powered up and you don't have all the parts that you need. Like, you may actually want to go collect some Christmas baubles so that you can scatter them around so that you can lay some traps so that you can hear when he's coming. And all that
you want to make sure you've eaten at least 53 cookies and glasses of milk, because that's going to get your HP up for if there's a battle.
And you can also you've got your cookie bag that you can actually store a number of cookies in.
Of course, yeah, for when you need them the most.
Yeah, there's something about, having this sort of showdown, but it's not about death. It's about, if you get beaten, it means that the Krampus is actually, maybe the Krampus steals the presents of the kids.
Oh, that's a bit less troublesome. Yeah.
Yes. So rather than him stealing the souls, stealing the presents. So it's all about,
you'll lose Christmas spirit because there are unhappy children in the town, and I think like every year you get a
you've got a naughty and nice list, and
and
the reason why so you'll hit a few nice kids first because that Krampus is scouting out some of those naughty kids. So you actually
I like that Santa still gives gifts to everyone, but it's the naughty and nice list is about who Krampus is going to come for.
Yes. And that's all it's about. And that's what it's always been about. Like, you can be naughty or nice, and Santa doesn't care. He thinks that every kid deserves
happiness and presents. Yeah.
Happiness and presents. But Krampus is the one who's the real downer.
Yeah, okay.
So when you play Krampus, you can only interact so much in a nice kid's house. There's almost like a barrier around the presence that you cannot.
Oh, as Krampus,
break,
yeah,
as Krampus, but you can still get in there and pick up certain new technology and that sort of stuff, so that you can take it back to your dark elves. Because I like the idea that it's the elves that actually determine this whole
Krampus has their own elves. Yeah, well, I like this idea that Santa has the naughty and nice list. It shifts year to year. Like, some kids will flip-flop back and forth, but if you are putting presents into a naughty kid's house, then you have a chance of running into Krampus. I kind of like that being the tension there. And that
so it's almost like you gear up and you get yourself all ready to go. You're not fighting as such. What you're trying to do is you're trying to delay. Deter. Or come up with...
Deterrent is one of our words, so...
So unlucky comes in the fact that there is some luck involved with, I think early on in the game, you can actually have you don't actually necessarily have the naughty nice list. That's an upgrade.
Oh, that's an upgrade. Yeah. Well, and it could. I think for Krampus as well. I don't think Krampus has a naughty and nice list because that's a Santa thing. So Krampus has to figure out, like, Krampus has a detector. He can see the aura of the children, but that might be why Krampus has to go into the houses as well, is to check that out. Is this a naughty kid? Am I going to be able to take the presents from them? Oh crap, they're nice. I have to leave. And then Krampus's upgrades can be about figuring that out from like a further distance, or you can look through the window to see it rather than having to go through, or you can get a sense as you get close to the house, like, oh, there are naughty kids in here.
Yeah,
that's cool. I like that actually. Well, and I feel like as Santa as well, I wonder if, because obviously the Krampus is AI controlled, even if they're based on another player's Krampus. But every year that Krampus is going to get more powerful as the night goes on.
Mm-hmm.
So it could be a strategy of, okay, as Santa, even though I'm a bit weaker still as well, I'm going to try to get the naughty kids out of the way, because if I do run into Krampus, he's going to be weaker too. I'm going to have more of a chance to get rid of Krampus. And I think it is just like, yeah, it's not fighting, but you've got tools to deter Krampus in some way. That is
really quite
That's
cool.
Kind of cool. I like that.
I think it would take a little bit more brainstorming to actually get it into a position that we could be very happy with.
But I think some of the back and forth is there, and I just kind of love the idea of, it's essentially a breaking and entering game, but as Santa, so it's fine.
It's about leaving and stealing gifts.
Yeah, it's about leaving and stealing gifts. Well, that's the
making
other thing,
traps.
actually, with Krampus, is you don't want to go into a kid's house that Santa hasn't been in yet.
Exactly. But
so
you
that's
also
another part of your
you also need to be very careful about, if you do go into a house that Santa has already been in, you don't know what sort of traps he could have left. Like, there could be paint cans that swing down from stairs and all this sort of shit.
Nails on stairs, hot door handles.
It's full on Home Alone rules in there. Like, which is really kind of scary, because if the kids actually, came downstairs before Santa came back through and cleaned them all up. Because that's the thing, Santa does need to finally clean it up.
He's got elves, though. I think the elves, they do a cleanup pass at the end of the night.
Just before dawn.
Yeah. When they know Krampus is gone back to his cave.
So how does Krampus win versus Santa? Like, is it number of naughty kids presents left versus number of naughty kids presents stolen?
Yeah, well, I don't know if it's about a full-on win-lose, or if it's just about how many points you get, essentially, like how high you score. And yes, I think you score points from stealing naughty kids' presents. And also, there can be some other things, like, I don't know, maybe you get to take a pot shot at Santa. If Santa's weak enough, get some points for that. Knock his hat off.
Get him in the bells.
Yeah, hit him right in the bells. The jingle bells. All right. I like that. But I think we'll leave it there. That was a fun one. That was cool.
Yeah. What did you think of Click Pitch Garage today?
Let us... Oh, are you talking to me?
Yes.
Or are you talking to our audience?
I was talking to you first, and then I'm like, okay. I'll reach it to the audience.
Sure. I thought that it was tuned up very nicely.
Yeah.
So yeah, tell us what you thought. If you want to find us online, you can go to podchaser.com/bitstorm and leave a review there. Do exactly that. Tell us what you think of Click Pitch Garage, and is this something we should keep doing? We're going to anyway for a little bit. But it'd be nice to know you're enjoying it.
And if you like the song that appears at the start and end, it's called Mount Defiance, and it was on the album Containment Failure by the band Dust. Go search it out on Google, and it's free for everyone to download on their Bandcamp.
That's right. So thank you again for joining us this week on Bitstorm. I'm Ben Slinger.
I'm Trevor Scott.
And I'll be right back. My poop troll's getting busy down there.
Oh, hang on. Why am I lactating? Stupid milk loaders.
My fuck fairy's busy.